First off, next up we have Need for Speed Most Wanted OST Pursuit Theme 2 Only Orchestral. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I am a professionally trained musician, a composer, and my objective here is to explain things in a way that you don't have to be a professionally trained musician to understand what is happening here musically. Be warned, this is happening live on stream, and this is my very first time listening to this track over here, so I will be pausing a lot, as I will be explaining and pointing things out as I hear them. So if you want to listen to the whole thing in one go, I will be linking this in the description. If you're watching this on the YouTube video archive, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. And yeah, as I said, this is recorded live on stream in a single take, so expect the mishaps that may happen live on stream, like for example the fact that I didn't open Paint. There we go. So let's do this. Let's get started. Pursuit theme number 2. Let's check it out. Let's see what we got. Okay. 7 seconds in, and we already have a really fun combination. We have some electric guitars going on with some orchestral elements. The only orchestral thing here is a lie. Turns out there was electric guitar there as well. But we do have a couple of very interesting elements for our opening for this track. Number 1, of course, we have that electric guitar. Sounds metal as hell. Some drums. But most importantly, we have some brass. We have, I believe that those were some French horns, which French horns are great for bringing up a melody and making it sound very, how can I say this, militaristic to an extent. Again, something I've talked about a lot is the work and study of orchestration. Orchestration is the study of picking up which instrument does what. So it's never really random, especially if the composer knows what they're doing. It's never going to be random what each instrument does and what happens and what line is picked up by which instrument. Every instrument needs to be picked up pretty much actively and intentionally. And in this case, this being horns has a very cool historical reflection to it, because usually horns, especially, you know, the French horn, nowadays the French horn is seen as an orchestral thing, but a long time ago, horns used to be something that you would carry to battle, you would have in hunting parties, you would have all that kind of stuff with horns. So that gives a lot of the times, especially during the Middle Ages, how the horns were used so much for, again, hunting parties. It's a super stereotypical thing, you know, the party with a bunch of horses, some dogs, and then some horns. And it would it would bring in that feeling of being in a chase. And of course, Need for Speed Most Wanted. Yeah, you get chased by the cops a lot in this game, right? So having that being the instrument that brings up the first motif of course being the smallest version of your musical idea, the seed from which everything else comes from, having that pretty intentional. Let's see where they take this. Oh, we have other brass as well. Okay, here is what I had been warning a lot of the times. So we have the horns and we have the other brass. It sounds like we have a tuba and the trombones. And I've warned about this many times in other pieces. When it comes to using trombones and tubas and trumpets at the same time, it is really a risk that you're taking. Because every time you use one of these instruments, it's going to be loud. It's going to be very loud. A single trombone can drown out the entire rest of the orchestra by itself. And that's what we're hearing right now with those stingers from the tuba and the trombones. The horns are still playing their thing, but the trombones and the tuba just kicked in and completely drowned out what just happened. This could be intentional to try and drown things? I don't know. I don't think so. But it is, again, that risk that I was talking about. The tubas and the trombones have gone a little too loud over here, and the composer either didn't notice or chose to keep that volume knob up, which has resulted in the melody being drowned out a little bit. Is this intentional? I don't know. Maybe, but it is definitely risky. Let's see where this goes. Another guitar with another riff. Yeah. As you can see, as you can hear, the trombone and the trombones and the tuba are insanely loud, and they are drowning everything. It's getting pretty difficult to tell apart. But we did get a couple of other things. We got ourselves a guitar riff, which, again, a riff is a colloquial equivalent to a motif. Colloquial, what I mean by colloquial is that there is no precise academic accepted, it's not a term that is recognized by academia, but it is something that is used by the masses and that still works. A riff and a motif are almost the same thing. A motif, however, is used as a main melody, is usually used as a central focus of an idea, while a riff can many times mean, you know, the rhythm, some of the more background, backing track accompaniment kind of things. So there is a difference between a riff and a motif, even though they share a lot of aspects between one another. So we have that, and every once in a while we are getting some violins trying to do some sort of response to a call that I'm not sure where this call is coming from, because call and response, one instrument does one thing, another instrument responds with something else. So, yes, Weezer has, guitar riffs, there are many famous ones, and it's getting pretty difficult to distinguish because those horns are very much there, which, not the horns, the brass, which, again, when you talk about the brass, it could be a reference to the police and how, you know, police sirens are very loud. So it could be intentional to set that way. I think it's taking away from the piece, but let's see how it plays out. We're still 25 seconds in. Let's see. Wait. That was aggressive. That was a very, very aggressive change over there, to the point that it sounds like two completely different tracks. I don't know if you could tell over there. Let's play it one more time. Yeah, it completely cuts off, and it feels like we just went from track 1 to track 2 over here, because that felt like a change of section, because, you know, we just had section A. You know, we had the guitar riffs, we had the horns, we had the violins, and we had the brass and everything. And we had section A, and usually you want to go to section B when it comes to form. Most songs or most tracks are gonna have something like that. Extreme Tour, welcome today. How you doing? Corvi, welcome to today. And so we're trying to go from A to B, and we're trying to transition. The ideas sound similar enough between one and the other, so it does sound like it is developing idea B, because when it comes to a second section, you want something contrasting, but you don't want something completely new. And that is the risk that a lot of people make, that they end up coming up with something completely separate, completely different, and it ends up sounding a little too foreign. So how do you do this? With motific development. You take that initial idea that you first have, you take aspects of that, and then you experiment with them a little bit more. However, the issue I'm seeing here is that, let's say this is the audio wave file of, let's say here we had track A, And then here we have the audio wave file for track B, for section B. And usually you want these two to be blending in right after another, right after the other. But what sounds like what seems to have happened is that this track was rendered, like track A was rendered. Render means the final product is set out, and it was just copy and pasted before track B. And the problem with that is that the echo, the natural echo of every instrument, needs to bleed out. It needs to bleed into the next section, which means there are going to be tiny little remnants of each chord from section A that will make it to the next section, whatever that is. So if you have section B with that, and you make section B together, and you have them working as a single track, that ends later, welcome to the day, then it will feel connected. However, what seems to have happened is that section A was made, and then this area was cut, so all those little echoes are not there, and then section B just starts. And it's a very abrupt thing, and it feels like we hit next, skip song in the track, instead of this being part of the same track. Every time there's a major change happens in pursuit, it corresponds to a different situation in pursuit, such as getting cornered, running away, or losing on the side of the cops. The game cuts up these parts and stitches them together live as you progress the pursuit, which is fine, but there is an intended order for this progression in the composition, and it is going to be a challenge to be able to make it so that, oh yeah, section A can go to B, but it can also go to C, and C can build back, can go backwards to A, and everything. But in the production booth, everything will need to proceed as a single piece, and then you can splice it together. You can splice it apart, and then you can tell the audio engine, okay, skip from here to here. Right? You can absolutely do that. This could be just somebody who was playing and then the game engine was doing that, because it does sound like a very abrupt cut and paste type of situation. So yeah, it's not. It makes a lot more sense once you're in the game, but then there is one more issue. Whenever you make something like this, you want to render each track, or I guess this could take a lot of processing power to render each individual track, but you want to make sure that things still have that little echo, and you can have this every track, every section of it have that the exact same ending chord with the exact same ensemble, so that they can flow into one another more easily. That would take a lot more work, though. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out, because it's a very abrupt thing, and it sounded disjointed. But it could just be that the person playing this was in a different part of the situation. Let's see this part. Okay, so now the second part, for this second part now, we now have a synthesizer that is coming up with this backwards. It's doing an inverted version of the motif, because the initial motif that we had the shape of basically going upwards, and it was small bursts, pretty much going in what is called a sequence. When you sequence a motif, you are playing the same shape and you're just changing the place in the scale, and it was going upwards. And right now we are doing an elongated inversion of that same thing with the synthesizer, which is basically longer, elongated, slower, and this time we're doing one big drop, so that we still have that overall shape. We're still doing kind of the same thing, but we are very much doing a longer version of it. We have the guitar doing its thing, and we have the brass still really, really loud. Mahados, welcome to today. MVP, welcome to today. How y'all doing? Let's see where this goes. Really fun synthesizer there. Oh, I really like that the guitar here is having a call response with the percussion. So every time the guitar stops, the percussion answers to it. This is really, really cool. There you go. We bring the synthesizer back up. There we go. So now we're off to a separate section now, and this one actually flowed a lot better. So it seems like the initial one was probably just something in the game engine, or it was just an error in post-production, because it sounds like it was the wrong section that got played afterwards. Even though harmonically it still made sense. And chord progression-wise, it still made sense to have a contrasting section over there. It sounds like it could have been a mix in direction or in production. The audio engineer could have messed it up, could have put the wrong section in the wrong order, or it could have been the audio director who decided, let's just change these. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I'm just giving the possibilities. Because at the end of the day, these are most likely not going to get played in this order. Because, as it was said, the audio engine will read the situation, and depending on the situation, you will get a different part of the track. So, it's perfectly possible that this was just easier for the engineers to do. And that's how they did it. How? Why? I have no idea. I wasn't even know. There you go. But yeah, this is good for nostalgia. This is good for nostalgia. Even I played this game, so yeah. And now that transition was a lot better. And again, this one was a colloquial term that I give that I love using, called going off the ramp. Again, a colloquial term means there's no academic recognized official term for this. It's just what I am calling this. Because we just had this transition over here. Listen. You want to make a cool transition, you want to reset that tension, because again, whenever you're making music, you are doing one of two things. You are building tension, or you are resolving that tension, and usually the resolution is going to be very, very fast, and that little point in between is called your cadence. And cadences can be in so many ways. There is a rare scenario in which after a cadence you continue building tension, but it still happens, and it's insane. And in this case, if you want to reset the number of tension, so you don't want your cadence up here, but you want your cadence down here, but you want this like V-shaped level of going up and down, down and up in tension, go off the ramp. Take away the percussion. Take away the bass and or the percussion. Do a forte piano with the brass, which is what they did, a forte piano with a crescendo. So when it comes to music, by the way, let me explain this real quick, right? Things go from soft, which we use as piano, or loud, which we say forte. And again, piano, 2 P's, is not PP, it's pianissimo, 2 F's, fortissimo, and the more you add, the more issimos you add, right? So pianissimo, 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 and these are all relative terms, right? And then in the middle ground, you will have something like mezzo piano or mezzo forte. Then we have other more unusual, more specific ones, PPAP, not quite. More specific ones, like for example, there is sforzando, and there is sforzato. And Empress, welcome to today. How you doing? Yes. To request a song exclamation point SR followed by the YouTube link of the song that you want. If you're live on the stream. So yeah, because it's gonna be recorded, and I appreciate it. Sforzando and sforzato mean basically the same thing. Mean just be louder than everybody else. And then we have the fairly unusual fortepiano. Because funnily enough, Piano forte just means crescendo, but forte piano is the other way around. And that is exactly what the brass did just now, because what it means is go loud to quiet extremely fast. You start the note loud and then you go quiet. Something quite unique to orchestral instruments. You can't really do that with guitars. You can't really do that with a bass. You can do it with singing. You can do it with trumpets, trombones. You can do it with bassoons, with clarinets, violins. You can't really do it with percussion. You can't really do it with an actual piano. But basically, it's the concept of going ba, and then you can have what is called a crescendo. Crescendo, of course, just means to get louder. The opposite of crescendo is a decrescendo, which is when you go quieter, right? So usually when you have a forte piano, you will see forte piano to, I don't know, forte or fortissimo or sforzandissimo or sforzando, sforzandissimo, whichever one it is, which is what the what these things did, what the brass did. Bam! And then you bring in, you resolve that cadence, and basically this right here is this moment in the cadence that we didn't do the cadence up here, we did the cadence right down here, but we did this sudden drop and brought the tension all the way back up incredibly fast. And this now we transition into this completely other, this is section C. This is section C, completely separate, completely unrelated to everything else. But now we have, it actually transitioned more smoothly than we did from A to B. So let's see where this one goes. Okay, this one, instead of having the synthesizers, so the first one, the whole focus of the very first one was the French horn. Second one, the focus was the synthesizer. This third one is the violins. We have the string section really taking it, and now the string section is actually paying more attention to what the brass is doing, because in the other two sections that we've done so far, the brass was kind of interrupting everyone, and this time the brass and the strings are playing with one another. That came out horribly. They are basically playing off one another instead of playing against one another. So, interesting change. I would have probably done it earlier, but again, these are all supposed to be disjointed. So let's see where this goes. Up, we bring the synth back. I like this. I like this. We are taking the concept that we just heard from the synthesizer, taking that inverted motif, that inverted, elongated motif, giving us that slow descent, but at the same time, we are having the violin do a, I think it's an, yeah, we have both elongation and reduction at the same time, because the violins are doing the same motif, and they're just doing the motif. Again, we have in the concept of inversion, which is the original motif was basically going up. It was a short burst going up, not too short. It was like medium length going up like this. And inversion just means same thing, but upside down. Same thing, but upside down. And then we have the concept of elongation, which is what happened, what we see here in the very, very long one. The synthesizer is going slowly down. And then we have the concept of reduction. And these are usually proportional. And the cool thing is we are seeing all of these being done at the same time. The violins are doing a reduced inverted version of the motif. The synth is doing an elongated inverted version of the original motif. The original motif being those French horns going upwards in that sense. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Let me see if there's anything else here. A lot of syncopation as well. Very nice. Okay, we go back to the first part of section C. So we went back to kind of the first part of section C. I like how each of these sections is kind of its own little like ABA, doing a lot of these things. And it's got all of these smaller elements, and we are using a lot of these elements over and over. Like right now, we're doing the call and response between the brass and the violins. Pretty much just having fun with this, but at the same time, we are having the synthesizer acting like this sort of glue in between the whole thing. It's pretty cool. Neptuno, welcome to the day. How you doing? Okay, this one changed the... Okay, we're to a new section here. I love that the brass has gone into full syncopation mode. So, syncopation, once again, for those of you who don't know, syncopation is the concept of going against the beat. So, once again, let's review time signatures. Usually, a time signature is going to be two numbers, one above, one below. The one above means the number of notes in a bar. The bar being the subdivision of time that you have is mainly for organizational purposes, administrative, so that you can orient yourself. It's very much for the convenience of the musician to be able to portray and understand what is happening in the music. And the number below is which kind of note we are using. In English, it's pretty easy, right? So whole notes is 1, half notes is 2, quarter notes is 4, eighth notes 8, and so on and so forth, like 16th notes. And that's the cool thing, right? Every other subdivision after that, you just keep adding more of these like little lines over and over and over again. It's insane how fast or how far some of these can go. And again, the idea of these is always to write things as simply as possible. If you're a composer, you want your musicians to be able to understand what you are writing as fast and as simply as possible. Because the longer your musicians spend trying to figure out what the fuck you wrote, the longer it takes for anything to happen, the longer it takes for the recordings to go into place, the longer it takes for the studio, the engineers to take everything, so it's more expensive. So as a composer, you want to learn how to write very, very well and very simply. The golden one, welcome to the day, how you doing? So, yes, if we're in 4/4, that means we're going to have 4 quarter notes in a bar. And the first note is going to be our downbeat, and then maybe the third note is going to be our downbeat. But at the same time, every onbeat is going to be 4/4 in 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And syncopation is when you don't play those beats and you go against it. So let's say I have the snapping of my finger, and that's the rhythm, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it gets confusing if you're trying to count and say things at the same time unless you're a drummer. But that's the point I'm illustrating, right? You're playing between the notes, and it gives you this sense of momentum, of acceleration that is just super fun. And right now, the instruments doing that are the brass. The first, nice. So yes, we'll get into the next one once we're done with this one. That sounds like such an obvious thing, isn't it? All right, let's continue. Let's see, because I like this. Let's see. And once again, and again, we come to the concept of going off the ramp. You take away everything. It gives you the sense of everything is suspended. And for a game with this kind of abrupt transitions, doing that, just that, is a really good way of transitioning, because that little bit, that off the ramp, that going off the ramp we did just now, that might not have been the end of the previous section, it might have been the start of this one. But at the end of the day, it still gives you the same, which I think it would be considered a pickup. A pickup bar. I think we call those pickups. Basically, it's the bar right before everything begins, and it gives you that sense of momentum. And again, this as the transitions, really, really good. Helps keep everything together, and that concept of going up the ramp helps with the idea that it's no longer playing the previous part, because you actually hit the mute button in those. So this one is probably one of the best transitions we've had in this track so far. I like this. So now we have another synth. We have still the brass going in those stingers with the percussion. In those stingers, that rhythm, the syncopation, and now we have this other brass on the lower end doing the original motif, but adding some hesitation, so to speak. So we're doing a partial elongation because the original motif, of course, was this shape, right? And now this one, what we are doing is we are playing the first note every few times, and then we're playing the end of it. So it gives you this whole sense of it's still the motif and everything. Oh yeah, you need 100 Botrix points to request. You get them by watching the stream. You get them by watching the stream. You need like 10 minutes to get enough points for a song. So yeah, we have this, and I like how this goes from big to small to big to small in such a cool way. It's just fun. That's it. And we had some modulation too there as well. Nice. Yeah, so we're implementing some of the previous elements. Okay, so now we are completely focusing on the syncopation. Completely just dropped everything else. Now we're focusing on the brass and what they have been doing so far. Let me see, are they doing the motif right? Not really. They're doing, I mean, they could be considered to be doing an inverted version of the motif with a slightly different shape. Because again, this is our original motif. And right now, what the trumpets and the brass is doing, oh, I think it might be a retrograde inversion, because they're doing this shape instead, which, yeah, looks like a retrograde inversion. So, okay, the concept of a retrograde is to go backwards. It's to play this thing backwards. So the retrograde of the motif would be this. Imagine I can actually draw, right? And imagine that these shapes are the same, just mirrored vertically. Mirrored horizontally. And then the inversion would be to flip this one upside down. So, yeah, retrograde inversion. We're doing the retrograde inversion just a little bit more elongated. So there you go. There you go. So the motif is still being used. We are just masking it in stingers because even here, it's still happening in bursts, right? Oh, wrong one. It's still happening in bursts. So we are getting like the overall shape. We are getting the overall shape, but it's cut by silence because they are not playing the full legato melodies. They're playing staccato. Again, legato is when you let the notes play out. Very common for violins. You just let them play out everything. Staccato. I keep forgetting whether or not it's 1T or 1C, 2Ts, or 2Cs, 1T. I cannot remember. It's 2Cs, right? 2Cs, 1T. So staccato. There you go. Thank you. So it's either legato is you just let things play out in full. Staccato is short bursts. And it's very common for these kinds of things to be staccato. There are other, like the accents and the way they happen tend to be that way. But yeah, let's continue. Part of the game is pursuit music. Intensity actually based on how fast you're. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, we go back to another transition. Then let's see. Okay, so over here we are having a similar use of the brass as we just did, but now we are creeping in those violins. Baldwin, welcome to today. How you doing? We're creeping in the violins, and we are, most importantly, changing the rhythm a little bit. The rhythm changed ever so slightly, but it is changed. So it gives you that sense of instability now. It's really cool. Oh, and we modulated. Modulation is when you go from one key signature to another. A key signature is just the group of chords that you're using at the time like what chords depend to the belong to the scale that you're in, and that kind of thing. And it sounds like we do have some time signature changes over here, yeah, as French Fries just mentioned. So pretty good. Oh, and there you go. So now we are seeing the whole going off the ramp thing and using that to start each section, and it works a lot better than that initial section. The brass is working a lot better than it was at the start, because now it's no longer drowning out the rest of the ensemble. So this is a lot of improvement over the track. Yeah, this is pretty Stravinsky. This is a very Stravinsky moment. Stravinsky is a composer who famously or infamously would mess around with time signatures, with tempo. He was the master of polyrhythms and polyharmonies. Polyrhythm, of course, the concept of you using more than one rhythm at the same time. It's not what is happening here. Polyharmony, using more than one set of chords at a time. But most importantly, what he's doing here is not only is he using syncopation, but he's using the concept of changing time signatures. So again, we can go back to the 4/4. Yes, that's very nice, very standard and everything, but you can have something more spicy, like say for example a 5/8, a 7/8. You can have like 11 16s. You can have all sorts of irregular time signatures, and you can change them back and forth however you want. And many composers use this to give a lot of accents, which is kind of what is happening right here, because then you just have them play a couple of notes in each bar, but you always make sure that they land the downbeat. And if they land the downbeat in these types of changing time signatures, it just goes absolutely insane. It goes absolutely insane, which is what is happening right now. Very Stravinskyan approach, which I can appreciate, because Stravinsky had some insanely incredible pieces. Like if you want to ever hear something that sounds inherently unstable, but also kind of metal, The Rite of Spring by Stravinsky. It's a 20-minute-ish ballet, 20-30 minute ballet, depending on the performance. And they really, really land this type of syncopation that we're hearing in right now. And right now, the focus has gone completely to the brass, who are still playing variations of that initial motif. So, to your knowledge of the certain words, you say like, Z's and whatnot. I can explain so clearly, that's why I have to follow. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll get into why I'm doing this after the video. Don't, remind me to do it. So yes. So you can hear how it sounds super unstable. We bring back some rhythm, but at the same time. So now we are engaging in a polyrhythm. The polyrhythm is two or more rhythms going at the same time. We have the percussion giving us the good old 4/4, it's giving us a steady beat, while the brass is repeating all that insanity that we just heard. Because, of course, when it comes to this kind of thing, you can always do, like, equivalents. So, for example, a bar of 5/8. Let's say 2 bars of 5/8. So that's 10/8. You can always multiply to figure out how many the common you can do math in music and find common denominators, right? So if you want 4/4 and you want to do a certain number of 5/8, so 4/4 contains 8 eighth notes. So after 20 eighth notes, so 5 bars of 5/8 will land you with 4 bars of 4/4. It sounds so confusing because it kind of is, but basically if you play 4/4, you count 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. You can go ahead and fit 5. I think it's 5 of these 5/8 bars, which, you know, these are subdivided by the eighth notes that you're playing. So it's going to be in groups of either 2 and 3 or 3 and 2. So again, a 4/4 bar is going to be 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. Very straightforward. But 5/8, as I said, you can do groups of 3 and 2 or 2 and 3. So let's write down this one over here, right? So in this case, we would be counting the subdivision. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. So in this case, it would be 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. So it gives you this sense of instability, but over a long enough period of time, you can still land the downbeat on both of these bars. And that is one of the beauties of polyrhythm, and it's what is happening over here. Not in 5/8, it's probably a bunch of other crazy subdivisions that are happening. But eventually you will have that percussion section land the chords with the brass on the downbeats, and the downbeats will match up over time, basically. Yes, thank you, Unique Executor. That's a really good way of putting it. Yes, so eventually they will match together. Just like you finding a common denominator, eventually the timings will line up and you will be able to reset. It's a tricky thing to do because, of course, it involves math, but once you pull it off, it's really, really fun. Let's continue. Let me refill the water bottle. So yeah, another transition. Yeah, these transitions are getting a lot smoother. I don't understand how the hell the very first transition was so abrupt and came out of nowhere, with all of these other ones being so so smooth. But yeah, there you go. Now we bring back those violins. We still have some of that brass doing it, but now the focus is more on the violins, more legato. Let me refill the water. So now we are only doing an inverted version of that, of one of the motifs that the brass was playing once again, but so we are doing an inversion of the retrograde inversion, which should just be the an inversion of the retrograde inversion should just be the motif, but it's happening in should be just the retrograde motif. That's just retrograde, yeah. So we're just doing a retrograde now of that. We're just doing the inversion of that retrograde, which is just the retrograde. We're playing that same riff melody backwards. Yeah, no, again, these concepts are so fucking confusing. Like, I'm keeping myself out of this. I just drove myself mad. So we had the initial motif, this overall shape. Then we had the inversion, which is upside down. Then we had the retrograde of the motif, which is backwards like this. And the retrograde inversion, which was like this. Right now, we are doing, yeah, the retrograde. So now we're doing this kind of thing with more legato. And I like how we are going from the quick staccatos, the quick bursts of the brass, to now letting things play out. It's one of those things that whenever you do a variation of your theme, of your motif, you do want to be able to distinguish it. And again, as I said, for the different sections, you want to 100% make sure that you are bringing contrasting. Sorry, I was reading the chat and I got distracted. That you want to make sure that your sections contrast without completely disorienting the listener. So it's a very difficult balance to achieve because it has to be familiar enough, but new enough at the same time. So pretty good, pretty good. New section. And now the violins are the ones playing an elongated version of the initial motif. So elongation, again, once again, we're just stretching it, making each note last longer, very high up, and everything, while the rest of the band is doing those short bursts. Yep, and we're building to the outro for this, so now we're bringing a bunch of the concepts together. Transitioning. Oh, we got one more. Oh, this is really cool. This is really a raging apocalypse. Welcome today. How you doing? I like it. We went from the elongated to the reduction. Reduction now is just very fast and everything, and it's with the hitting of the horns and everything. Oh, I'm doing fantastic, by the way. I hope you're all right. Let's see. So yeah, we're doing. Oh, we are making like these small pockets of tutis. I know it sounds bad, but a tutti just means everyone. Again, most concepts of music that we use nowadays, most terms that we use are going to be Italian. Why? Because that is what happens. Zelnik, thank you for the sub, man. I'm gonna say thank you properly soon. So yeah, tutti, we are having those, the entire ensemble playing, everyone is playing the same thing very fast when we're doing these fast things, and then back is this, Let's continue. How are you gonna end this, though? Okay. The brass is doing more legato, and then it perfect for looping. Perfect for looping. So it ends, again, going off the ramp, you just press the keyboard a little bit, you know, that last synth a couple more times, and that's it. That's it. Oh my god, that's a good ending, because it allows you to loop back into almost any other part of the entire track. So the only weak part was kind of at the start. The brass was a little off level. The transition to the second part was really weak, but it really picked up steam, and it really picked up the intensity, picked up the slack. It is really good. This was really good. Man, that was a lot of fun. So yeah, very well engineered as well, I would say. Like, except for this first part, but that's what, 45 seconds out of the entire 5 minutes, so yeah, pretty good. So there you have it. That was Pursuit Theme 2, only orchestral. That was not true. From the Need for Speed Most Wanted OST. Once again, everybody, this has been a Basterd's LFA. If you're watching this on the video archive, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. If you want to listen to this whole thing without me pausing every 5 seconds, link will be available down below. And yeah, if you want to request a song and you're not watching this on the live stream, go to the Discord, link below. Go to the LFA channel. Hey, Hype Strain. 1 second. Go to the Discord. Leave the YouTube link on the LFA channel that we have for requests. I will review it, put it there, and if you want to catch the streams live, check either the Twitch or the Discord stream schedule, shows the times on your local time zone. There you have it. Pursuit Theme number 2 from the Need for Speed Most Wanted. Really good stuff, man. Really good stuff. But yeah, let's move on. I have a lot of things to give.